I stumbled upon the number one secret to making money online in the first 6 months. But it wasn't until after 6 months from the time I discovered this number one making money secret that I actually noticed how powerful it was. From that time, when I noticed how powerful this system that I had just stumbled upon, it took me some time to sort of like go through the agony of trying to figure it out, how I was going to break it down, to my family. My family is kind of like a little bit conservative, coming from a working class where they believe that you have to go and get a 9-to-5 job. You exchange time for money. So the idea that you could actually work from home and make money wasn't really going to settle very well, whether for my, for the mother of my children or my mother-in-law and everyone involved in making sure that we are all okay. You see, the thing is, when you have family always want something that's better for you, and they want to make sure that financially you're secure. They want to make sure that you've got the job security that you need so that you can provide for yourself as well as for your family. And I think you can't take that away from any family, regardless of whether you both get along or you don't. The first thing they want to make sure is you are okay on that particular part. So I really sort of like took time to go through this, and I organized it over and over, trying to figure out the best way for me to actually have a productive conversation with my partner, to make sure that she understood that the journey that I was taking from that particular time, it was a journey after a discovery of something that was going to turn our lives for the better. But you see, the challenge for me to actually win this argument is the fact that from this particular time when I discovered this new way where you could easily make a good living out of working, from home. It was a very difficult time for us because we had a lot of debts. We had 2 kids. But not only that, I had also sort of like a string of failed businesses that I had launched at that particular time. So I really didn't have a track record that actually could demonstrate that my new discovery was sort of like the holy grail of everything that you need to know about making money online, and finally sort of like having the freedom of time, location, as well as the limitless earnings ability. Having said that, I hope you understand how difficult it was to make it possible for my family to actually understand that giving up the only job, the job that I was doing then, which was paying me about £8 per hour, and giving that job security and the guarantee that I would pay my bills and keep a roof over my head, to pursue something that has got no track record, rather than the pile of failures to launch that I've had previously. It was very difficult. And on the other hand is when you have very little to work with, especially when you're starting a new business, you need capital, you need a lot of resources, and you also have this mindset that has got limiting factors, whether it's the way how you value the knowledge that you have, whether it's how you manage your time, and sort of like how how your perception is in terms of how money is earned, and the social conditioning that you've had to grow through. It makes it very difficult for you to actually sort of like make decisions that's going to sit very well with everybody around you. And the first thing, the first hurdle for me was to make sure that I convinced my partner, so that she understood that I wasn't giving up the only job that I had then only to walk into other problems with money, when we already had enough problems with money, because we had piling debts that we needed to clear out. That was very difficult decision to make. Now, for some of you guys watching this video, you might be thinking it's not a difficult choice to actually make from this, because all you needed to do was make a decision whether you wanted to make more money or you wanted to stick to the £8 an hour job that was capable of paying the bills that you had in your house. The thing is, it's easier for me to look back now and see how easy it would have been for, or maybe how easy it should be even for you if you are in a similar situation like I was, and I would think that it should be easy for you to make a decision. But knowing what I know, having been through that process of making a decision to walk away from the only, the only job, though it was a so draining type of job that I wouldn't wish on anybody, even on my enemies, the fact still remains that when you are sort of like cornered in between the hard and the rock, it's very difficult to make decisions like this, because I think you sort of like work on top of your full of anxiety. And the one thing that I've learned over time is the fact that an anxious mind is not a productive, it's not an anxious brain or an anxious mind. It's not really a mindset that you can actually work in and use your brain properly to make, decisions that can actually help you sort of like make your choices from an informed point of perception. And that was very difficult. Having been through the back and forth, and the reason why it almost took me 6 months going through this process was the fact that it felt then that the mother of my 2 kids has always been right in thinking that probably maybe trying to set up a business and work for myself, make enough money for my family as well as for myself, was just an illusion. It was this elusive dream that I would keep on chasing, but I wasn't going to be able to sort of like catch up with. If there was anything that I could do that would make a difference, was there anything that I think I could try? Because by then I had tried to do door-to-door sales. I had tried ML multi-level marketing. I had tried all sorts of things that I think you could think of, but none of these actually worked. Frankly speaking, if there was anything that I could do at that particular time that would get me from this nightmare of having to go to a 9-to-5 job that was so draining, but at the same time also come back home and still notice that my kids are growing up and I'm an absent dad. I haven't got time to spend with them, and even when weekends comes, I don't have enough money to be able to take them and go and do some of the funny stuff that normal families who have got resources actually do. So that was sort of like the moment that I had to decide, you hear quite a lot people telling you how fast the kids actually grow up. Really spend quality time. I would go to work at night, come back home in the morning when they're awake. That was when I needed to sleep a little bit so that I can also wake up and go back to work and things like that. And in between, there were a lot of things that were happening that quality time with my family wasn't possible. So I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice. It was either keeping the status quo, believing that the only way that I could make money was to stick to the 9-to-5 job that I was doing, or I could change. Instead of exchanging my time for money, I could exchange value for money, which meant if I invested 10 hours in working on a project, I could get paid for that 10 hours today. But if that job that I did was in an evergreen market where I got paid over and over on the same job that I had done once, that would be awesome, because it meant even sometimes when I take some time off from my job, that would allow me to still earn money from my previous efforts. So that was sort of like the time when it happened to me, because that was when I sort of like the light bulb, sort of like that was the aha moment for me, when I thought, this is it. This is happening. This is what I should have. A great deal of swelling rumors that ordinary folks like me could easily make money online, and they were doing this using simple tools like a mobile phone with an internet connection, and the 3 or 4 simple tools that you could use to build up a recurring income, managing and exchanging the value of your skills with people and businesses that are looking for the skills that you have. So I thought, wait a minute, I can do that. But the challenge for me, the reason why I didn't think it's possible for me to do this, is simply because in many cases, ordinary folks like me, things that I knew better than anyone else, like the reason why I got a job from this company that I used to work for is the fact that I had skills that I think they thought would be useful to their business. But at that particular time, I didn't really think that was a set of skills that I could use outside my job and apply them into my own business and get paid in exchange, for money with the other businesses who leverage the same skill. For example, let's say you're very good at telling stories. If you can tell a story, you can also write a story. If you can't write a story, you can put a camera in front of you, just like I've done, and you record a story and you publish that story on YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel becomes your distributional channel where you exchange value, for money. That was it. So I quickly realized that I needed a blog. And I also realized that I had a lot of, skill sets that I could apply into this that could equally, even bring up more value and make money for me, so that I can use that to build a lifestyle that I had always wanted all along. That was really simple. So I know that some of you guys who are skeptical about making money online, you probably maybe are wondering, blogs probably maybe it's not a good idea to start, and they think that you could make money out of it. There's only a few people who are not capable of making money using blogs. And these are people who are actually thinking that they could jump online, put together a pile of bullshit and hope that bullshit is going to make money for them. For me, when I look back at most of the failures that I actually did was I would give you like one of the multi-level marketing business that I did. The reason why I failed in that business is simply because I took somebody's skills and tried to market those skills to somebody who didn't even need those skills, because those skills were not even applicable in their lives. So it wasn't valuable for them. But when I noticed that I could use my own skills that I knew how to do much better and apply those skills and use my blog network as a distributional channel, I had now access to a global market that could buy products and services from me, and get paid doing what I knew far much better than recommending other people's products. Just like that. And that was the time I made a decision to say, okay, I need to build a blog. So I jumped on into my mobile phone. I looked at what sort of savings did I have for that particular month. I didn't have a lot. I had less than 200 pounds, but that was more than enough for me to actually get started. So immediately I bought a domain. I bought an autoresponder service. I bought a web hosting subscription and started building a blog for myself. Now, probably some of you guys are thinking, I don't even know how to put a WordPress together. You at least knew how to do all these things. Trust me, guys, there's a lot that I didn't know then that I know now. Even launching that blog itself was a challenge because I didn't know a great deal of stuff that I know now. But at the same time, I'm also still learning quite a lot of things because the landscape, the internet landscape continues to evolve and kind of like keeps moving. If you stop, you will be left behind. So you still have to keep on building on top of the knowledge that you have to sort of like just to keep up with trends and things. The only thing that I don't do, that I haven't done, is to depart away from that first thing that I knew how to do. I have always stuck with that. But what I've done is sort of like build a number of revenue streams on top of the first revenue stream that I had. So when I started with the first revenue stream, and then I scaled up to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 9 streams that I already have now. So let's assume that you have a dream of becoming a property owner or somebody who is managing a set of properties. For you, realistically, even if you took a 9-to-5 job that pays you £10 per hour, it's gonna take you the rest of your life to actually pay, get a mortgage if you're lucky, and pay off that mortgage, and then go on to buy a second property. It's not gonna happen in this life. So the best option that you have is for you to actually sort of like look at starting a side hustle while you already have a 9-to-5 job. So you could set 2 hours, aside, where you're working on your side hustle, which is setting up a blog where you're exchanging the value that you already have. This could range from anything to do with either ebooks. It could be maybe, let's say, if you are a nurse, you work in hospitals as a doctor, or you work at a primary school as a teacher, or maybe you are a mechanic who knows these cars so well. Maybe you are this guy who hasn't got like a job like mechanics or maybe like teachers do. You could be somebody who is working in the construction industry, and you think maybe that's not something that you can actually monetize using a blog. But you're wrong, because those are some of the skills that a lot of people are using every day. And these days, if I need to learn how to do, bathroom tiles, or maybe how to sort of like do a DIY in my backyard, my first call is going to be on YouTube. I'm gonna look for a YouTube video that teaches how to lay tiles and stuff like that. And you could be the content creator for that channel. You could be the guy who works in the construction industry, but when you have 2 hours on a Saturday, or when you have 2 hours when your kids are in bed, you shoot a video, you show people how you do that. It could be restoring old furniture. It could be a local teacher who has tips and tricks on how to improve your kids' knowledge in terms of how to use phonics. You could record videos about phonics and the techniques that parents at home can use in improving their after-hour relationship, more especially like bedtime reading and things like that. You could be that person who creates pieces of content like that. You publish that on your YouTube channel. You publish that on your blog. You publish that on your podcast. You even create ebooks that you could offer either in exchange for money, or maybe using them for building an email list. These are some of the things that I think you could do. You could be somebody who is very good with mathematics. Small businesses like myself, I want a spreadsheet that I can use to keep track of my money. I want to use spreadsheets that I can use for calculating wages and all these other bits and pieces that I use for paying some of my members of staff who work with me to help me run my businesses and all the other stuff. It could be somebody who knows how to edit images. I use images on my blog posts, on my videos, on YouTube channel and stuff like that. These are some of the things I think that you could easily put together, either a how-to guide, and then you publish it on one of many distributional channels that we're talking about here. It could be on a podcast. It could be on a YouTube channel like this one. It could be on a blog post. It could be a blog post on your blog. People come to read on your blog, and then you start exchanging value, and other people come and sort of like learn how you're running your blog, and you could equally create your own course that you could go on to sell that particular course. There are so many platforms where you can sell a course. You could sell a course as a membership. You could sell a course as on other people's membership sites like Skillshare, Udemy. These are platforms that they're using, other people's skills to market to other people who are seeking for those skills on a larger scale. But in your case, this could be something that you start small and grow it bigger and bigger. Let me tell you an example of one of my first products that I offered when I first started doing, making money online. My first offers of products were the very first tools that I used when building my blog. Number one, I needed web hosting. Number two, I needed an autoresponder. All right. And number three, I also needed sort of like the way how I could organize my ideas, put them together, and use those resources to make sure that I streamline my processes. And I ended up with a blogging system that I packaged later on, that I still use up until today. That blogging system breaks down everything, puts together everything, and is something that I've also gone on to build my membership, on top of my blogging membership on that blogging system. Why? My blogging membership, system offers new bloggers how they could come in on the market, get a free domain, get web hosting, get the training they need when they're getting started, get access to a team of technical staff who knows how to help when you get stuck with WordPress or whatever platform. If you're using Square, if you're using whichever platform that you're using for blogging, my technical staff guys come on and they help you sort of like string together whatever it is that you're having problems with. And if you need somebody who could just help you with the design of the website and the tweaking certain things on your website, my guys, they do that for you. All right. And in exchange for that, in exchange for the training, in exchange for the private board, which is password protected, where we share ideas, we strategize on how to monetize blogs, how to make money, actually how to unpack ideas that you have and things like that. These are some of the things that we do inside the private membership of bloggers. And this membership, since then, when it was launched up until now, it has grown to somewhere around 320 members inside that membership. And in between, on average, I would say we've got about 260 active members every month. Now, if you do the maths properly, you would notice that that's a 10K business, on its own, without me doing a lot of heavy lifting. Because when you get into that membership, we've got piles and piles of content, plus frequently asked questions with tips and the answers, and an active membership of people who are doing exactly the same thing you want to go and do online. So there is no problem that you would have when you're building your business that wouldn't be solved inside that. There are also other levels that I think we've got a mastermind within the very same membership, blogging membership, where now you have access to a level of 10K income earners, 25K income earners, 250K club. These are membership levels that I think you could actually get on, but it begins with baby steps. Those are some of the things I think that I didn't actually see when I first came across this. So this is just something that I think you could start thinking about, but knowing that if you are going to do this, you have to have an intent. You have to be intentional. And if you have an intent, you are going to need a vision, and you have to pay attention to where you are and where you want to get. Then in between, from where you are and where you want to get, you sort of like have to create, smaller, bite-sized chunks of milestones that you can celebrate as you move on. This is why we have, this project that we run is we launch blogs, and we mentor and train you to show you what you should be doing and how you should go about doing it over a period of 24 months. Because the goal is to make sure from the day you launch the blog to the time you hit 24 months, you get to be in the 10K membership club where now you have either multiple revenue streams that are actually bringing in anything more than 10K every month. And this is not a feat that is possible only by wishing that you could have a 10K income generating business that you've built online. It comes out of you doing the work and having sort of like long-term goals and a sort of like a picture of, a bigger picture of what your life would look like. This involves looking into your life from how you manage money, how you manage expectations, how you see the world, and how you interact with the resources that you already have. How do you tap into into the energy that's already existing, so that you can sort of like unpack the ideas that you already have and unpack the value that you already have, the skills that you already have, and repackage them into revenue generating streams that you can actually plug and play and let the money come to you, without you having to be on a treadmill. So if you don't show up for your job, then you don't get paid. But when you show up for the job, you're also limited because you've sold time. So instead of selling the time in exchange for money, invest the time in exchange for value and limitless earnings. All right? Okay, guys. So from now going onwards, I should be sharing a lot of tips and guides on how you could sort of like move from one step to another. And if you feel like that's something that you would be interested in getting a little bit more information on, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. And we also have a lot of guides and I think tips that you could use on our blog. Make sure that you hop over to that. There should be links below this video in the description that should show you where you should go. And we publish at least 2 videos every week where we are sharing a little bit of information that should be able to push you from where you are today to somewhere in the middle where you should be heading to. But it all begins by making sure that there will be some hard decisions for you to make. Some of them will not even be popular with family members. It's not just being stubborn and being silly or stupid, but it's about you thinking and sharing, the bigger picture that you have. For me, it was looking beyond my needs today and looking at my needs in the future, but also what my life would look like if I took the necessary steps that I did. I'm not a finished job. I'm still work in progress, but I'm happy with where I am at the moment. Move at your own pace. Do things that you're comfortable doing with, but make sure that you're not just settling for what you think you are capable. Keep pushing the boundaries, because that's the only way to progress. All right? Cheers, guys.